Hello everyone, welcome to the Purple Pennies weekly live video. It's a public holiday Monday here in Adelaide. I believe it's Adelaide Cup Day, horse racing day. I was undecided about whether we were going to do the video today because it is a public holiday, but there was a whole bunch of stuff that needed doing here in the shop, so we came in for a few hours. We try to hold these videos at about this time on every Monday, so about 12 PM Adelaide time every Monday, and have a bit of a topic of the week and a catch up on the latest coin goings on. So the Purple Penny, which is a business that I own and run, along with my wife Catherine, is a coin and banknote dealer. We buy and sell coins, collectibles, gold, all sorts of weird and wonderful stuff. We're also authorised distributors for the Royal Australian Mint, and of course there will be a release from the Mint this Thursday, so good luck with that if you've got your names down for that sort of stuff. Now, highlights of last week. We bought a lovely 1967 Swan Dollar proof and unk in original boxes. A gentleman came in early in the week last week and then came in again on Saturday and was happy to sell them to us, so do watch out for those on our website the next little while. Planetary set came in, so look out on our website for that. What else? I think that's probably the most interesting things that came in last week. Now, the topic of the week is has been triggered by some goings on in the news here in South Australia in the last 10 days or so, and I'll get onto that as we get into the topic of the week. But before we do that, we'll do a couple of things. First is we'll say hello to everyone who's watching. Hello Sam, Ted, Gwen, Peter, Greg, Jason, John. Peter says it's Labor Day in Victoria. Okay, well, I think we get a Labor Day as well, I'm not entirely sure. Hello Daryl, who's one of our regulars here in the shop. Hello Greg, long time no see mate. Hello Brett. Hello Ray, Ray comes in here a couple times a week. Hello Peter, another Peter, Rick, Byron and Pal. Hello everyone, thank you for joining in today. If you're on a public holiday, hope you're enjoying your day off. If you're at work, don't get caught watching videos on the internet. Now, just before we get into the topic of the day, we'll just harken back to a topic from a few weeks ago about the holy dollar that was repatriated back to Poland, and you might remember that it was a holy dollar that was held by the Korun local museum in Poland, and it was stolen sometime between 2009 and 2016. Reappeared on the market in Europe in 2016, where it sold at auction for €275,000 or something. And then in 2022 it was sold by an Australian coin dealer, purchased by a collector in Western Australia, and towards the end of 2024 it was confiscated from that collector, and on a ceremony in earlier February it was repatriated back to the Polish government. Now, one of our regular viewers, who I think is here, actually contacted the museum directly. Greg, so Greg, who's watching, contacted the museum directly and asked them some questions about the holy dollar, about what had went on, and it was clarified that the holy dollar was indeed bought by a Polish collector in the early 20th century, and that collector died in 1931, donated his entire collection of coins and stamps to the local historical society, and they were then passed on in fairly short order to the local museum. It included more than 2,000 individual items. Now, you can imagine in the late 1930s and the 1940s in Poland that there wasn't a huge amount of priority put on museum contents, so the actual collection was catalogued over a few years, from the early 1950s until 1953, and it looks like the museum conducts periodic inventories of their collection. They conducted an inventory in 2009, and the holy dollar was found to be present in 2009, but when they conducted an inventory in 2016 it was found to not be present. So that's how they know that the coin itself was stolen in that 7-year period. and does go some lengths to explaining why it took them so long to determine that it was missing. I imagine that an inventory of a museum takes quite a while, which is why they only do it once every several years. So thank you to Greg for contacting that museum directly and getting some information directly from the museum on what actually happened with that interesting holy dollar that was sent back to Poland. A few more people have joined in. Hello David, who's a shop regular, Damien and Mary, thank you for joining in. Now, today's video is prompted by a fairly terrible event that happened in South Australian town of Yorktown about 10 or 12 days ago. It was on the news. If you jump onto the interwebs and do a quick search for coin theft in South Australia, you'll find that an elderly gentleman was basically had his home invaded on a Saturday or a Sunday night, was at about 1 AM, was bashed and had a large quantity of cash, some firearms and collectible coins stolen. Within about 24 hours the police had arrested 2 men and seized 2 vehicles and got a quantity of that stuff back, and then within a little short period after that they'd arrested another person in another vehicle, and they were all arrested up around Broken Hill and in far western New South Wales. Fairly terrible event, and we found out in the middle of last week that that elderly gentleman was one of our customers, so it was all a fairly awful thing, and we managed to speak to the man in question to ask him what had happened and how he believed, what the events that led to that. It was all very terrible, and he's clearly traumatised by it, and as anyone would be if they were belted over the head and threatened with murder. Supposedly that happened. So I thought today we would talk about, I guess, security, collecting securely, because in this day and age with the internet, it is pretty easy to find people. It's also pretty easy to share information that shouldn't be shared online. So I thought we'd just talk about security and collecting securely. It's a topic that we've done before in passing, but never really in depth. So before we get into that, we'll just say there's a couple more hellos here. Hello, hello Alex Birkin, who's a local here. Robbie, who comes into the shop when he's not playing golf. Sam says the holy dollar was an inside job. If it hadn't been on display, then only the curators would know of its existence. Sam, I don't know if you've ever heard of David G, who's a notorious criminal who stole coins from museums in New South Wales. They used to have fairly lax security procedures where they would allow researchers in and let them handle the collection unsupervised, and David G was known to have gone into the collection and replaced real items with fakes. So obviously that doesn't happen, well, you'd hope it doesn't happen with collections here in Australia anymore, but for small local museums, who really knows what happens with them, whether they let researchers handle the stuff unsupervised, you just don't know. Hello Mark, hello Veronica, Anthony and Ashley. Will there be an event in Melbourne at all in 2025? Well, Ashley, there was a Coin Expo there in the second week in February, mate. About 3 weeks ago there was an event in Melbourne. Hello Monica, and right, so let's get into this. So how do you collect safely these days? It's not easy. So what I've done is I've split it into five particular areas. First is informational security, so that's being secure with what you say and who you talk to. Location security, so how you can have your coins in your house safely and securely. How you behave online securely. How to store things safely, and then finally, what you need to do to prepare for the worst case. That if you are subject to crime, what you can do to try and mitigate that particular prevent. Now, informational security. Educate your family and friends. Now, what does that mean? It means that, the risk isn't necessarily with who you tell about the fact that you collect coins. It's who they tell or who they tell. So when you choose to disclose that you collect coins to your friends or family, you need to get an assurance from them that they won't tell anyone else. They won't tell anyone else, especially if you have small children and they're talking about things at school. If you do have very small children, perhaps you want to keep that information away from them until they're old enough to be able to be reasoned with. Don't share information in public. Don't stand in lines at coin shows and big note yourself about all the things you have in your collection. Don't stand in line at the bank and talk about the thousands and thousands of $2 coins that you get out of the bank every week. Don't stand in your backyard and talk in loud voices about the safe that you've got hidden in your bedroom, or the fact that you bought 4 sovereigns this week, or things like that. So think about what it is that you're saying and who it is that you're saying it to and where you are when you're saying it. And I don't know the details of this robbery that happened in Yorktown, but I am fairly sure that he didn't know the people that conducted it, so clearly the information has got to them somehow, many thousands of kilometres away from where he lived. So, do be careful where and who you share information with. Don't share information with acquaintances. I know that sounds silly, but, workmates and people at the pub and people that you know but you don't know, don't share the information with them. There's no real need to. So, who do you share it with? You share it with people in Coin Club, you share it with your close family and friends, those sorts of people. You don't have to share the fact that you collect coins with all and sundry, and I would strongly advise that you don't do so. Think about how you are conducting yourself at banks, coin shows and coin shops, and that means not big noting yourself, not telling people about the amazing deal that you managed to get, or gold being so high and you've been stacking up on gold and things like that. Do think about the words that are coming out of your mouth. Don't leave bags lying around at coin shows with quantities of cash in them. There was a robbery at a coin show a couple of years ago where someone at a coin show was being fairly free and easy with their money and had it stolen. It all sounds a bit paranoid, but in this day and age, people are looking to steal. They absolutely are, and it doesn't matter what they'll do to do it. They'll do it. People are saying down in the comments here, loose lips sink ships, and that's a saying from World War II. I guess the thing is just learn to keep your mouth shut. And that's it. And unfortunately, coin collecting can be a bit of a solitary hobby, and being able to talk to people makes it more fun. There's no doubt about that. But you do need to think about the sort of stuff that you share with people, and especially people that you don't know. There's no need to tell someone in a line at a coin show that you've got so many of this and so many of that. You're just saying it to make yourself feel better, and from a security point of view it's a terrible thing to do, because you don't know who that person is. They could follow you home on the tram or whatever and find out where you live, and that's as easy as it is. They can just follow you home. Similarly, at coin shows, when you're at coin swaps and things like that, do think about the cash that you're carrying around for coin swaps. Do think about not handling it and having it on display or hanging out of your pockets or in a paper bag or whatever it is. Do think about that. And informationally, it's a good idea to not have coin mail come to your house. Get a PO box, and I understand PO box costs money, but it's better that than having Royal Australian Mint and Perth Mint flyers hanging out of your mailbox, and interesting looking packages being thrown on your front doorstep. Do think about using a PO box. It is a definite thing to think about doing. There's a couple of comments here that we'll look at. Sam says, I talk someone out of collecting coins as an investment, but to buy gold and silver instead. Well, coins can be an investment, but here in the shop, we're a hobby shop. We sell collectibles. Hello Janelle, and hello Bevan. Thank you for joining in. So the next stage in the security is what I call locational security. So that's how you have coins scattered around your house. I would generally advise people to not have coins and banknotes and collectibles scattered all over their house where they are easily seen. If you have small children, you can have their friends wandering through the house all the time, and there's no controlling who they mention the fact that there's coins everywhere. You may have trades in and out of the house, a cleaner coming in and out of the house. It's just a good idea, if you have a house where people do come and go a lot, to not have stuff scattered all over the place. On the kitchen table or the kitchen bench or all over your desk. Think about having a lockable hobby room. Think about keeping your hobby in one room and keeping the door shut or putting a lock on the door. I think that's a great idea. If you live in a rental or a share house or something like that, I would be super careful about having coins and collectibles then. I know of at least one robbery here in Adelaide that was a collection stolen from a share house, and almost certainly that collection was stolen because one of the share house members had passed that information on to someone else. So do think seriously about that, and if you're in a rental and you've got rental inspections and perhaps trades coming and going that you don't even know, you do not want to have stuff laying around that can easily be seen. Similarly, if you're selling your house, for goodness sake, put all the stuff away. Or take it out of the house. You've got strangers wandering through the house, looking in your drawers, looking under your bed, looking in your cupboards. Just don't have it in the house. I know it sounds ultra cautious, but it's actually sensible advice, and it's not just with coins. It's all sorts of other collectibles as well. You just want to be super careful about having that stuff around if you're selling your house or you're having rental inspections. If you are going to keep stuff in your house, sure, you can have a few bits and pieces on your desk, but the rest of it, try and store it in not obvious locations around your house. So not in your bedside table drawers, because that's where everyone keeps their nana's jewellery, is in their bedside drawers. Think about, I don't know, putting it in with your knickers, or putting it in a laundry cupboard, or hiding it under the doona covers in your linen closet, or something like that, rather than having it in obvious places where people look first. And these days, with camera systems being so cheap, there's no real reason these days not to have a security system in your house. You can buy them from electronic retailers and things like that, especially if you do know that you're going to have people coming and going. You get alerts sent to your phone when people are in the rooms, during certain times, and so do think about having a security system at home if you're going to have coins stored at home. How can you be safe online? It's harder than you think. It goes against many social media platforms' terms and conditions to have fake profiles, but if you are going to be heavily involved in buying and selling coins or banknotes or bullion or whatever it is through social media channels, I would think seriously about having alternate social media profiles, things that aren't associated with your name. Why would you do that? Because a lot of the time it is very easy to find your location based on your social media profile. You could have pictures up there of your family or yourself. You put those into Google reverse image search and you come up with all sorts of interesting stuff if you put a picture of your house up or things like that. So do think about having alternate social media profiles if you're going to be buying and selling coins online. Do be cautious with your buying and selling behaviour. I would think very carefully about selling gold bullion or very expensive coins under your own name. Don't overshare. Again, this is the loose lips things. Don't overshare details about or images of your collection. I know that it is nice to show off your collection and it does feel good to show people, but I would be super careful about showing pictures of ounces of gold, or I've got 4 planetary sets, or I've got kilos of silver, or I buy every bullion issue that comes from the mint. And having that associated with your real name, or even having photos of that stuff so that people can see it online. Again, I know it sounds paranoid, but it is a definite thing to think about. As I said, don't put up images of yourself because you can't. Excuse me. You can do reverse images searches online these days and associate someone's face with a real name, even if you're operating under a fake name. Often those photos of yourself can be put back to a real name. Do be safe with face-to-face transactions. If you are going to trade online, what does that mean? Don't meet down dark alleys. Don't allow people into your house. Do think about, if you're going to be spending lots of money on things, taking a friend with you and perhaps having the friend stay off at a distance with the cash, or perhaps ready to film with a camera or something like that. There's all sorts of advice online about conducting safe face-to-face transactions. You can do it in a bank or at the front of a police station. And again, if you are buying online, do think about using a PO box. I mean, that's especially helpful if you are buying things, because then the seller doesn't know where you live either, which is something that you don't necessarily want a seller knowing. So how do you store things safely? You can think about safes, and I'm kind of on the fence about safes because I often feel that if you buy a little safe from Bunnings or somewhere like that, something that weighs 30 or 40 kilos, and you put stuff in it and you sit it on the top shelf in your linen closet or in your walk-in robe, then all you're really doing is saying to someone who breaks into your house that I've got a safe and my valuable stuff's in here, and they can just pick it up and walk off with it. So I'm very much on the fence about those little safes. So if you are going to get one of those, then conceal it or bolt it to a wall or bolt it to the floor. So, you know, when it comes to safes, the bigger, the heavier, the better, and you want it concealed. You don't want it in an obvious location, and you want it screwed to a wall or bolted to a floor, because often, if you do read the media, a lot of these thefts are about it's impulsive, it's quick, it's what's convenient. So if you make things harder to move, if you bolt them down or screw them to a wall, or you make them super heavy, or you hide them where they're not easily found, Peter is saying there that you should get a little safe and perhaps store your underwear in it, and then put your good coins in your underwear drawer. You know, it's all about making it harder. If it's too hard, because often these people are in a rush, then that's what you want to do. Just make it more difficult. Store your items in non-obvious locations, and that's what I said before, not in your bedside tables, because of course that's the first place people look. If you are going to get a safe installed, a big safe, then there's a couple things to think about. One is that, you know, during installation, if you are getting a great big safe installed, it's obvious that you're having a safe installed, because there'll be a truck out the front of your house and a crane and people who are moving the safe around. And then when you're actually using it, let's say you've got a safe in your garage or something like that, you know, don't use it when the door's open. Make sure the door's shut. Make sure you don't talk about the safe in the backyard, or if the kids are, you know, if you're going out to the shed to use your safe, don't say to the kids that you're going to use the safe in the backyard. You know, it seems obvious, but it's when you're in your own home, sometimes you don't think about these things. But with the size of dwellings these days, your neighbours hear everything that you say, pretty much. If you don't want to store things in your house, then you can think about remote storage. So vaults, security boxes, safe and secure storage. Oh, there's a spelling mistake there. So vaults such as in the basements of banks. There's secure vaults. I believe Imperial up in Queensland offer a secure vault system. Banks will have safety lockups, and then of course there's the lockable storage places that you can store general household goods in, and sometimes they you know, they could be a better option because they have restricted entry and you can padlock the doors and things like that. Think about mitigating your risk by having several storage locations. So store things in several locations in your house, or have an expensive vault that you put the really valuable things in, and then keep the lower value things in a general storage area facility. And of course, if you are going to store things long term, do think about safe storage materials. So make sure your stuff isn't in PVC. I know I've been going on about that a little bit, but you know, if you're going to have stuff in storage for years, then you want to make sure it's in proper long-term storage materials. We'll just have a look and see if there's any comments here before we continue on. Peter says it's dangerous to have kids. Yeah, the kids are much more expensive than a coin collection. Sam says it's like jewelry, never store it in a jewelry box, put it in a non-descriptive drawer, in a box in a drawer. Ben says those bank safety boxes are melted in these fires in America. Well, Ben, unfortunately, there's no storage solution that's going to stand up to every possible scenario. If you are looking to buy a safe, they usually will have some sort of fire rating on them, and that's the number of hours or the number of minutes that the safe can stand up to a fire of a certain temperature. What went on in America, if your house takes 20 minutes to burn down and you've only got a 5-minute safe, then the stuff's going to go. And the same with the bank stuff. Nothing resists everything, unfortunately. Darren says, "G'day Mark, I have a full sovereign I bought years ago from the Perth Mint. It's a remembrance release for Flanders Field." Okay, so Darren, that's a bit off topic. I'll address that later. Sorry about that. Now, of course, there's nothing you can do. If someone's determined and you've got stuff at home, or then the stuff and it gets stolen, if the worst case does happen, because of course, if someone charges into your house with firearms or whatever, then it's not worth losing your life over a coin collection. And if it does go, then what can you do to mitigate that worst case? So the first is to catalogue and photograph your collection. And in this day and age, with free online storage through Google Drive or OneDrive or those sorts of things, there's no reason to store the electronic copy of your catalogue and photos in your house anymore. You can stick it up online and it is accessible from everywhere. And really, if you don't do that, then you've got very little way of proving what was stolen if the worst does happen. And think about tagging some coins. You could put a little slip of paper inside box coins, for example, with your name or a code number or something like that on it, because of course these people that can steal things, they're in a rush. They're not going to open up every box and check to see if there's a piece of paper in there or it's marked in some way. This is a similar approach to engraving electronic things with your driver's license number or something like that. And these often these people that steal things aren't how do I not be insulting? They aren't the brightest sometimes, and they'll take all this stuff to a pawnbroker or cash converters or wherever it is without even looking at it. And if it's got your name and number all over it and pieces of paper inside of those boxes, then it's going to be fairly obvious where that came from. If you've got coins in 2x2s, think about marking those 2x2s. You could just be your handwriting or little code numbers and things like that, and have those in your catalogue which you store online. And then the last thing to think about is insurance. And insurance for coins can be very problematic, and I'm no expert here. It's worth talking to your insurance company about, because sometimes home and contents insurance does include some coverage for a coin collection. You could talk to them and find out what it does cover, and then what sort of evidence you need to have with regards to the contents of your collection. And there are also specialist collectibles insurers that you can approach, but like bank deposit boxes, storage facilities, vaults, that sort of thing, it all does cost money. And I do understand that people are about saving money. I'm all about saving money, but sometimes you do need to spend money to protect, I guess, yourself and your collection, and that is something to think about. And if I was going to just take away one thing from this 30-minute video, it would be just to be careful about what you say and who you say it to. That would be the one tip that I would take away, is just be careful about what you say and who you say it to. I understand it's a great hobby, and I understand it's easy to get enthusiastic and excited about it, especially when you've bought something new or you've discovered something wonderful. But unfortunately, the wrong words said to the wrong person can come back and bite you. Right, that's it. Sorry, it's not a very cheery topic today, but given the recent happenings here in South Australia and the fact that we know the gentleman in question, I thought it was important to talk about it and share some of that information. And if we can conduct ourselves safely and prevent this sort of thing happening again, then it's been worthwhile. Right, that's it. Good luck with the release on Thursday. If you're having a public holiday today, enjoy the rest of your day off. Catherine and I are going to pack up and go home and have the rest of the day off, and we'll be back next week, same time. Thank you to Andrew, Claire, for suggesting a topic for next week. I'm not sure how I'll go doing a whole video around that topic, but if you do have any topics that you'd like me to cover, please send us a message. Oh, hello Mike. It's good to see you watching, Mike. I'm glad you're up to watching, Mike. It's good to see you there. Right, that's it for now. Bye everyone. Have a great week. Stay out of the heat or the rain or whatever it's like in your part of the world, and we'll see you next week. Bye.